If they come here to work as workers on the farming industry, they're not welcome today. I don't think it's very fair, that different. But anyway, we must find solutions. And where would the solutions come from? Number one, it would be, if possible, the reduction of consumption here. The reduction of the income the cartels are getting here in this nation. That mammoth amount of money, billions of US dollars, coming back to Mexico, laundered partially here to bribe, to corrupt public officials, policemen. That huge amount of money is being used to buy the weapons, the ammunition, to arm those cartels and make them so violent and so aggressive. So it is not a case to blame each other. We have to work together on this issue. I would have loved that California would have approved the legalization of marijuana. I think that would have been a very strong step forward in solving the problem. Because at the very end, why should we keep demanding from government or from the state that they put our kids and consumers on a crystal box so that they cannot reach drugs? When the responsibility belongs to the consumer or the parents of the consumer or our education system. That would be the way to solve this problem. That's why I am for legalization. I am for depenalizing the use of drugs. At the very end, ethically and morally, we're talking about maybe the last frontier of prohibition. Because today abortion is permitted. Today the marriage between persons of the same sex is permitted. Cigarette smoking is permitted, and by the way, kills much more people smoking cigarettes than smoking marijuana. And alcohol is permitted. Even the forbidden apple of the Garden of Eden now is permitted. Prohibitions don't work. So we must find some other solution to this problem. There's one example, a success story, Portugal. They decided to legalize drug consumption 10 years ago. And the end result is 25% reduction on drug consumption. It's not true that our kids will go crazy, that everybody will start to smoke marijuana and to inject heroin and to do all of that. It's not true. That will not happen if we educate, if we inform, if we advertise the dangers of drug consumption, like we do on cigarettes. And cigarette smoking is coming back. There is a Gulen Institute report, K-A-T-O. This respected think tank that is in Washington, D.C., and pretty well renowned, and they have a report on the Portuguese case. And we can see and confirm that it worked well, legalizing the use of drugs in Portugal. But anyway, Mexico has to make sure that we can solve this problem. And I am sure problems of violence are not solved by violence. That's where the inspiration, the thinking, the philosophy of people like Gülen, people like San Ignacio de Loyola, people like the United Nations are totally in favor of legalizing. People like Presidente Cardoso from Brazil, Presidente Lagos from Chile, Presidente Cedillo from Mexico, all of them are in favor of legalizing. So we have to think a new paradigm in this case. But I was speaking about violence, I don't think the army is the right answer to the problem we have in Mexico. Armies are not prepared to do police work. They seem to be much more prepared for violation of human rights, like it's happening in Guantanamo and like it's happening in Mexico today. We must make sure that we win the battle of the violence derived from drugs through respecting human rights and through respecting the due legal judiciary process for each person and individual, or we're never going to win that battle. So again, there we can have an answer. I was talking with my friend now, Sheriff, and we invited Sheriff Baca to Central Park to speak to more than 50 police chiefs from all the centers of Mexico, and some of them from federal government. And it was very interesting to learn a couple of things that I didn't know. Number one, that a policeman has to be a leader in his community, and a leader on the issue of security. And it has to be a professional. Through this I learned, but didn't know that sheriff is elected by the people without partisan involvement, and that his only obligation and accountability is to the people that elected him. That would be a good answer for the problem in Mexico, because it's highly politicized. Here comes a guy from the PAN, and he gets a sheriff or a police chief from a panista, a member of the PAN. And then PRI comes in, and he changes that one for the one from the PRI. We must professionalize that activity and get real experts and professionals to lead the task of guaranteeing security to citizens. And I also learned that each of these police corps or leaders have to be very close to the community, have to involve with the community, have to have a very strong relationship with the schools, with universities, with religions, and any other institution. But more so that they would have to have a dialogue to understand the case of criminals, gangs, kids that lost their way in life, and through that try to solve it. But anyway, I'm not going to extend myself more on this issue. The real thing is that we must solve this as quick as possible, because we are in deep trouble now in Mexico. Finally, I'm very, very pleased to be in this gathering. Here are leaders that come from different parts of society and parts of the region. And here's people with goodwill trying to do things for change. And ideas we have many. We all have ideas and plans. But the difficulty is to make things happen. And that's where the commitment of a leader comes about. And one incentive for that is something that I read that Ted Roosevelt mentioned many times, and later on was taken by President Nixon, saying something like this, that only those who are in the arena know about hard working, know about sadness, know about frustration, and know about defeat. Only those who are on the arena. But for them, the price is high. for them what they get for fighting for a better world, for working for unity, for inspiring themselves in values. They are the ones who will share the victory and the success. So the invitation is that we work together as institutions, that we work together as nations and communities. This land of Texas used to be Mexico. This land today is enriched by the Mexican presence. Many Mexicans are here working to make this state as strong, as successful as it is. Let's work together with the spirit of unity and value sharing that we were taught by Mr. Gülen. And then we have a peaceful border. And then we will have a successful partnership between ourselves. So, thank you.